hello again. It's Dr. Grace Ambrosakin. I'm welcoming you to the Safe Toddles podcast. And I'm here today with my co-host, Kelvin Crosby. Hey, Kel.
Hey, everybody. It's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm excited to have our next guest today, and Andrea, and she's going to talk about her little toddler, about how the belt cane has impacted her toddler's life and how it's transformed her life. So welcome, Andrea.
Hi. How are y'all?
Doing good.
I think we hear your toddlers in the back. She has a mother of two
Probably,
toddlers.
yeah. Kenedi never stops jumping. So if you hear banging, it's just jumping.
I hear lots of fun going on, and that's a welcome thing. And, we've got a Kenedi page on our website of all the fun and amazing videos, some of my favorite things. So we'll talk about that. But I always like to get started with, how did you find Safe Toddles?
Honestly, a Facebook ad just kind of popped up. Like, I was scrolling through Facebook, and it popped up on like my sponsored ads or something, and I was like, oh, this is neat. And then I went to the website, and I was just kind of like, this is actually perfect, because Kenedi hates things in her hands. She was not getting her cane down. Like, she wanted to hold her cane and play instead of using it. So it was like a toy and not a tool. So I actually just kind of watched the page and the little updates and stuff about it, and then pulled the trigger. Like, I was super nervous about it at first because her wearing things made me nervous, but she loved it kind of from the get-go. We put it on her and she was like, oh, wait, this is cool. And it's been nonstop ever since.
They are such fun videos because she is like a pinball machine going in and around. But you see, every time that cane frame contacts a shelf in a business, that's a time her body didn't.
Yeah.
And I know she's just naturally wants to go.
Yes, nonstop. And what I love is so before, I used to tell people all the time, I promise I don't beat my child. She's blind. She doesn't walk with her hands up. She doesn't use a cane. So she just had bruises across her forehead. It was weird not see a bruise on her forehead. And ever since we finally started wearing our cane, it's so much better. Because in stores, she doesn't want to hold your hand. She doesn't want you to carry her. She doesn't want to be in a basket. She's so independent. It blows my mind. But at the same time, I'm like, stop. But at least with this cane, the cane's taking all the hits and not her face.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call it headlight. Yeah. It was such a common thing with children with visual impairments to have a forehead bruise. They'd say, oh, you got your little headlight today. Yeah. It's so sad. I mean, I never did. I just heard that's what people said.
People all the time are like, oh, what happened to her head? And I'm like, she's blind. That's
we don't
the only explanation.
Appeared.
Wait, she'll just think she's beautiful no matter what. I mean, it's just part of her makeup, right?
Right, exactly. I tell her all the time, oh, you got a cute little accent there today. Good choice.
Aww.
Except, of course, at home, she is full speed all the time. So.
Yeah. Well, it was funny when you were saying you were having a hard time just getting her to use the cane. I see her just using the cane and abracadabra, show me a monkey, or abracadabra with the cane, using it on her wand, not actually. Huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. It's also kind of a weapon, so watch your shins. But that is the good thing about the belt cane is there's not as much reach on that. They can't reach out and get you with it. It only goes so far. But she will actually grab it, pick it up, and just sling it and hit things. And I'm like, would you put it down? My shins hurt. Come on. Or strangers in the store just kind of she'll whack a shelf because she's very much get out of my way. I'm on the move, and she doesn't understand that inanimate things aren't going to just scoot over. So she'll whack a shelf, and strangers are like, oh, she's a little dangerous. And I'm like, help me.
But she's responsive because the video where she does that, and it's been, it's there's a whole pile of boxes over here, and then there's a whole nother, stores just leave things in the aisles.
I swear we picked the worst store. I was like, oh, we'll come in here, shop around. It was a maze. I mean, it was great because we got to test out her cane, but
for me, I love. But then she was whacking the shelf, and it made a nice ding. But you said, all right, let's get going. And she did.
Yep.
Like, she wasn't stimming. I find it that they're investigating. I
Yeah.
think that if you're blind and you hear an
Mhm.
interesting sound and you notice something that you didn't know was there, it's just fact finding. It's just information.
That's how you figure out what it is.
I
Like,
love it.
in some of the videos, she'll reach down and touch it. Like, she'll hit something with her cane, and then she'll bend over and touch it. Like, okay, that's what this is. So sometimes she hits it and she wants to hear it. Sometimes she needs to feel it, and sometimes she hits it like, okay, if I hit this, is it going to move? So she's very receptive with her cane. And I mean, it was crazy because she went from like no cane skills at all to getting this on and going like, oh my gosh, like, I can feel, I can hear, like I can move things with this and stuff like that. And like, she just took off with it right away. And I really thought there was going to be like a lot more like teaching and work behind it. But she was just kind of like, oh yeah, I can rock this, and just goes.
Because she was 2 when she first got. How old was she when you sent it to you?
She had either just turned 2 or was about to be 2. Because I want to say it's been almost a year. She'll be 3 May 30th. I can't handle it.
Happy birthday.
But yeah, so we've had it, I believe, almost a year now. And she's like a little pro.
So,
and 2 is a tough age. Sorry, Cal, but it can be a tough age to introduce a belt cane. So you got it right at the right time.
So I forgot my question.
It'll hit you.
It'll come back. It'll come back. So tell us about when you that first time that you got to touch the belt cane, and I forgot your Kenedi, right?
Kenedi.
Kenedi.
Yeah. What her when she first touched it, like, kind of tell us that story. Like, I'm curious, like, what was that a moment like? Aha.
So we got it in, and I'm a very impatient person. So when we get something in, I have to try it out like right away. Like, I get my hands on it, we're using it. Good. Like, if it's closed, we're putting them on right then and there. Like, I'm a very impatient person. So I opened it, and I was actually surprised that it was like the long cane, the short cane, the belt, like everything that came with it. I was just kind of like it was Christmas. I just couldn't stop opening things. So she comes to me, and first to start is I kind of walked her through everything. I just put her hands on it and was like, hey, like, this is your new cane. This is the bottom of it. Like, this is like magnets. I showed her that they squeeze. And then I introduced her to the belt, and I let her touch it and play with the Velcro. And then I put it on her, and I let her walk around the house with just the belt on, because usually she doesn't like being restricted. So even pants that were kind of too tight, she would like just hate. Like, she loved dresses, just kind of being free. So I figured the belt would be the problem, but I introduced her to it, and I put it on her, and she kind of walked around, and she would just rub it and kind of pick at it and play with it. And she walked around for about an hour, and then I put the cane on, and I showed her how the cane goes on, how she could take it off if she wanted to, like all that stuff. And she just loved it. Like, she was playing with it, like hitting it up and down, and then she got to where she was like walking and kind of knocking it into things, and then she stopped, and I would tell her like, okay, you got to put it down, because when we walk, we want it to do this. And so I explained it and kind of showed her, and then like that was literally all the teaching that I like taught her, and she just took off. Like, she was like, I got this, like, leave me alone, I'm fine.
That's awesome.
But I really thought there'd be a problem with it, but she just put it right on, was like, okay. But she tells you when she's tired of it. She'll like take it off and be like, Mommy, take it off. Like, so I'll take it off. But it's so funny because when we go to a store, I'll ask her, do you want to sit in the wagon, or do you want to wear your cane? Cane? Okay, so we'll put it on her and we'll walk through the stores. If she's tired that day or something, she just wants to get in the wagon. Or like, if I'm in a hurry, I just put her in the wagon. I'm like, sorry, not today. We're going in the wagon. But yeah, I always give her an option of if she wants to wear her cane or she wants to go in the wagon. Most of the time, she's like, give me my cane. I want to be free.
Freedom! I don't blame her. Like, that freedom is such a powerful thing.
I'm telling you, it like changed so much for us, just because even like just day-to-day grocery shopping, I would go in and she'd get upset. She did not want to be in the basket, or she didn't want to be in the wagon. Like, she wanted to walk. But so her brother is 16 months younger than her. So a lot of the time it was like, okay, I would have to hold her hand or get her to hold my hand while pushing her brother in the wagon. Or like, I would wear him, push a grocery cart, and have to hold her hand because she just didn't want to be in the wagon. And it was so hard because it's like, oh, you're going to run into this. Oh, somebody's standing there. Like, oh, hey, you need to stay with me. You need to stay with me. You need to stay with me. And so now with the cane, I can put her cane on her and I'll tell her, like, you need to stay by mom. And she knows, like, if she gets too far ahead of me and I call her, she just kind of stops and, like, waits on me. Or if she turns, I'll tell her, like, no, you're getting away from me. Come left. Come back left. Because we're working a lot on, like, her directions and stuff. And she just listens so well. But it's amazing that I can just push a basket and, like, just verbally direct her now. And I don't have to worry about, hey, that shelf is going to poke your eye out.
Right. I mean, it's such, it just, I'm sure anxiety and stress relief.
I was always so
really
concerned.
What we're going for.
I'm like, honey, I know that you don't exactly know that your eyes are, like, a major part of your face, but we don't want to hurt them. I have to tell her all the time.
But she doesn't. I mean, at 2, do you really know that you are different from everyone?
Yeah.
And maybe in some ways, but you're just you. Yeah. This is the way of the way. And so you want to move, you want to run. There's no difference truly
for us,
in a little
it's
kid,
like, oh, I got something in my eye. It hurts. I can't see. Kenedi, it's like, ow. You know, like, okay, it doesn't bother her, because whereas it's like, oh, I scratched my eye, it's blurry, I need to go to an eye doctor. Kenedi's like, okay, that hurt a little bit, like, move on. You know, where
but on the other hand, it's like we have had in our literature. What I'm trying to say is, Andy, they've always said blind kids don't run because they can't observe other kids running. They don't go places because they don't see something and go there. And what I'm saying is that's never been true.
Oh, y'all have not met my kid if y'all think blind kids don't run.
Or any other child who has had that experience and then got to wear the bell cane. So if you catch them early enough, they've never had to truly be completely bruised and battered by their natural impulse to seek adventure. Right? But so now if you get to wear it, you can seek adventure without the negative stimulus, you know, of constant collision, you know, or the threat of, you never know.
She took her first steps like 2 weeks before she turned 1. Like, even her therapists were like, whoa, like that doesn't happen. She has always been on the move. Like, she always wanted to be in a jumper and jumping and stuff. So once she figured out, like, hey, my legs work and I can get places, it was always just high speed, nonstop. Like, I can't tell you how often I've got kids' barriers just all over the house because I was like, oh, don't go in there. Oh, this is that. Oh, this is that. Like, y'all, she climbs. She can get on our kitchen island. I don't even know how she's getting up there, but I'll turn around and she's up there.
Amazing. My God, you had to move her furniture in her room. Right? Because she was climbing way up on top of things.
Yeah, we had like a sensory box that she loved to just sleep in. She'd get in there and like scream and it would echo and she loved it. I actually had to take it out because it was becoming a safety concern. Because she would pull her mattress off of her bed, climb up her mattress, and then sit on top of this box. And I'm like,
how high in the air? We're talking
like 4 feet.
4 feet in the air.
And just fearless.
No problem.
And I'm like, how?
She can't see it.
I know, because there's times where I would walk in there and like the mattress is flat on the floor. So it actually took me a while to put 2 and 2 together. And I'm like, are you levitating? Like, do you have magical powers? How are you getting up here? And finally one day I caught it on her camera. I was just working and I kept hearing stuff. And so I looked at her monitor and she was propping her mattress up and climbing it. And I'm like, no. So now her mattress is actually tied to her bed. And then I put on and I had to take the box out. I'm telling y'all, she is nonstop. And like before her cane, it was like this all the time, like high speeds, running into things, climbing everything, all kinds of stuff. So at least the cane, I have a little less worry. But let me tell you, she has already figured out how to climb with that cane on. She will literally like pop her cane off.
Go, Kenedi!
She will pop her cane off, climb wherever she's trying to climb, and then just lay down with it. And then when I find her, she's like, Mommy, cane. And I'm like, how did you even get up here? I find her just
that's
like on her TikTok. I have a lot of the videos of like, where am I going to find Kenedi now?
Right.
I don't know. I just never know.
Oh man, oh man, that's so good. I mean, I think that just tells the power. This is why I believe in this product
Yeah.
because
Well, that's Kennedy first and
Oh yeah.
yes,
I
foremost.
but
mean,
Is like we don't want to interrupt her natural
yeah.
yeah,
need to
mhm,
move but through these things. But yeah, no, but we won't take any credit for
And like
Kennedy's
you worry
yeah, yeah,
about like how much
DNA.
wearing the cane is going to limit their mobility. Like if they fall, can they stand back up? Absolutely. Like if they need to go upstairs, can they just pick it up and walk upstairs? Absolutely. When they're coming downstairs, it's not
Nice.
catching on the stairs and pole vaulting them off. Like it's so graceful, just like going down the stairs. So as much as Kennedy does, she has already adapted to like doing things with this cane. Like it's just another limb at this point. So I was worried
yeah,
at first, like, okay, is she still going to be able to like
Right.
jump and play and stuff? Or is it just going to restrict her to like, hey, this is on your body. Like, all you can do now is walk. But no, it's at this
yeah,
point, it's just another appendage, and she's just mastered
mhm,
it. I think even better than I can. And I could see like
yeah.
we have
That's awesome.
slides that she'll like sit down on the slide and she'll grab her cane and like hold it and go down the slide. Get off, put it down, walk off. Like it's
Oh
crazy. I
my
know. I
goodness.
need to just get someone to come to the park with me and film for me one day because it's so hard to like
Yes, we
film
have
and
to.
manage her because
Of
she's
course.
not just one
Of
handful but
course.
two. I mean, she's
That's
insane. But I've been working
tremendous.
on
I
trying to
love
So
get
it.
like better footage of her, but she makes me so nervous. I'm like, okay, I cannot film you doing this right now.
Right, right, right. No, first, right, exactly. Agreed.
It's so hard.
Right, correct
Mhm.
priorities.
oh man,
Absolutely.
this is so good. So I think a lot of people are gonna want to know this answer.
Yeah.
So are you working with an orientation and mobility instructor?
I do. So I live in a small town,
Okay.
and she was already walking before we found a therapist that was orientation mobility. And at the time, this therapist was orientation mobility and also her TVI. But
Okay.
we weren't seeing her very often, and like the sessions just weren't really productive because she was trying to manage both. So that therapist actually like went to work for the school, so she was no longer through ECI. And just recently, within the past few months, we have been blessed with a new orientation mobility in our TVI, and they're absolutely amazing. But she seems James Otterberry, and I think he is out of Odessa. We love him. We love him. Like I plan on moving to Austin because I really want her to get into like the school for the blind and like places that are just more like geared towards helping her. I just wish we could
Yeah.
take him with us. He's amazing. Every time
Yeah.
he meets at the house and works with her and stuff, and you can just see like the genuine joy that he finds in her. And that's like my favorite kind of people. Like we love people that work with her and not like people that you have to fight to get her stuff.
Hmm.
But he's absolutely amazing. He's already taught her we've been working on like spatial awareness and directions and stuff. So now, like, if she drops her juice, I'm like, okay, it's by your feet to your right. And she can actually like reach down, find her juice. Or she'll use her foot and like scan the area and kick it. And then she'll like grab it and stuff like that. But
Nice.
beforehand, she didn't know, like, hey, it's behind you. Like, she couldn't relate behind to like back and stuff like that. So he has helped her tremendously
Interesting.
because now I can just verbally tell her, like, hey, I need you to turn around and come back this way. And she'll turn around and walk towards me. Whereas before, we relied
I
solely
love
on
it.
like hear my voice and come towards it kind of thing.
Hmm.
So now if I'm in the kitchen and it's just echoing through the house, I can tell her, like, Kennedy, it's to your right. Like, bend over and feel with your right hand. And she'll like kind of bend over and start feeling. And like she still struggles with right and left a lot, but it has helped so much since we got him. But I think
Yeah.
a good orientation mobility therapist makes a world of difference for these kids.
Does he
Uh,
go out with her with the bell cane?
We actually haven't gone out with the belt cane yet, just because of like with COVID and everything. It's hard to like meet in public and do it. He
Mm,
follows her TikTok and watches it constantly, and he's like, "Oh, I just love this cane." And he's seen them, like he's come to the house and we've put it on her, and he's gotten to see it. He absolutely loves it. Which, of course, you know me, I'm like, "Well, here's all the information. Like, tell all your clients." I'm constantly preaching about this cane. Even like people that have no relation to the blind community, they'll come up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so cool." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's Safe Toddles. Like they're a nonprofit. You need to go here and donate so they can help more kids." Like
Yep, yep,
it's like I know it doesn't benefit you, but you can help them benefit other people. Like I'm
yep, yep.
always like, "Here's a website. Here's a website. Here's a website."
Hmm. Well, and I think,
Thank you.
and that's why, like, just hearing your story, and even the people that we've talked to, like, some have struggled and some haven't, and it really depends on the individual child.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's what's so powerful is the safe toddles cane is once you put it on that child, the growth
Mhm.
for that child becomes more than just walking. It
Yep.
becomes awareness of the environment. It tells you, hey, I actually can actually swing it and actually
Mhm.
figure out what's over to the right, figure out what's to the left. And those are things that, like, yesterday, I was trying to do jaywalk a little bit. Not really jaywalk, but I was trying to go up a hill because there was no sidewalk, and I really didn't want to walk all the way up the ramp. And I'm like, can I go through the plants? So I just took my cane and started sweeping over to the right. I'm like, oh, I could actually do this. I might fall, but hey, let's give it a try. But I went up the slope, and hey, that was so much faster. But I mean, that's the same thing with Kenedy. Like swinging to the right. Oh, can I go faster that way, or
Mhm.
do I have to go around the
Yeah.
corner? And so that's just what's so beautiful. And that's why I love the belt game. I think it's the greatest idea because I mean, I wasn't born blind. I lost actually all my clarity 10 months ago, but from
Mm.
just being around the blind community and the touch of this, like the amount of information you get from the belt
Mhm.
cane is incredible. And I think, especially
Mhm.
when you're a toddler, the amount of haptics that comes off that cane into the belt, into the hips, and into the body, it just it illuminates the world in a way that you don't quite understand, but it's just unbelievable. So I'm just excited
Yeah.
that Kennedy is just really just taking
I
it to a
love
whole
that
nother
like
level.
oh, she's it's what I love is like it's not just for kids who are already mobile. You know, so
Mhm,
like Kennedy, she was already walking and running and playing and doing all this stuff. So it didn't really necessarily help her grow in like mobility, but it helped her grow in like safety and adventure and like
mhm,
all the things
mhm,
that she could now do that weren't
mhm,
like resulting in an injury and stuff like that. But then I know people that have kids that are blind that are 3 4 years old and are so afraid to take their first steps that
mhm,
like they're not even trying to walk. But I guarantee
mhm,
you, like they get into this belt game and they get that sense of security, they'll be more willing to
mhm.
like, okay, I can do this.
Yep.
And like the biggest question I get is when people are like, what does that do? Like it looks flimsy. Like how is that holding her up? Well, it's not holding her up.
Ah,
So I have to explain to people all
Yep.
the time, like it's not a walker, it's a cane.
Yep.
So honestly, like once these kids are able to support themselves and the only thing stopping them is them being afraid of it and they get this cane on, it's like a whole new world. Like there's
Mhm,
no reason to be
mhm.
afraid because that like fear of bumping into things is now just taken away by this cane that's 2 3 feet out in front of you.
Yep. I just
I
have.
mean, that's the big problem, though. I think that you really hit the nail on the head, Andy, because the child, if you're one, if you're two, if you're three, if you are dependent on an adult
Mm-hmm.
to make the decision, to do the effort to put it on them, to build it into their
Mm-hmm.
routine. And if the child initially seems to reject it, to stick it out and
Yeah.
do it. And the culture of a child is, well, they don't need it here because they're fine here. They don't need it
Yeah.
there. They're fine there. And I keep trying to liken it to a wheelchair, but I don't think we had the same resistance to wheels. The
Yeah.
first wheelchair was in 1500s, right? It was for a king. He knew he wanted to go places. But it's as bulky sometimes. Maybe you need a ramp sometimes
Mm-hmm.
more. Maybe you need a more accessible playground. Potentially you need reasonable accommodations. But what we all need to understand is they can't see where they're going, and this would, like you said, we don't need this information. It
Yeah.
would be way too much for a sighted person to be getting all this
Yeah.
tactile feedback. But she has none of
Mhm.
that visual input.
Mhm.
She welcomes this tactile information about the world. And I would say, although it's difficult to figure out how to do it even at home, I am urging moms and dads to stop listening to the days of yore and start being more proactive about, if this was a stair and they were falling down the stairs all the time, you would put a gate up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You would take the time, because it's I have a grandson, and to get down the stairs, we have to move the gate,
Mhm.
and you have to figure out how to, it's like a very difficult situation for
I
me. Like,
know
I gotta
they're
squeeze and
adult proof.
right. So, but it's worth the safety of a 15-month-old to go through the effort. So it's a tough world we live in. Blind babies have been thought to be able to be okay with pain, that
Yeah.
they don't mind it.
Mhm.
And I just wish we could change that narrative and say, well, hey, they haven't had much choice
Yeah.
in the matter, and how much could they do if they didn't have this to
Yeah.
overcome, which
Like
is a
go
constant
slam your head into a
not
shelf
knowing.
multiple times a day and then be like, "Oh, I'm used to it now." Okay, but it was not a good road getting used to it. Like Kennedy,
Mhm.
Don't get used to
yeah.
it. I don't think you ever
Like
get used to
she's
it. I think you
tough.
stop
She will
going.
Yeah.
bounce off of something that like takes my breath away and just keep going. And I'm like, "Oh
But
my
it's
gosh."
eventually takes its toll.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
takes
But
its
like
toll
Well,
in
you
very,
got to think of
very
the
serious
long-term
ways.
effects of just constantly slamming into things. That and like kids need consistency. So if you're trying
Yes.
to put it on them at home and they don't want it and you just give in and you're like, "Oh, it's fine, you don't need it." Okay, when you go out and they don't want it, they're going to throw a fit because they have to now wear this cane. So when with Kennedy,
mhm.
I put it on her all the time. Like at first, I started just at home, putting it on her at home constantly. And then we
Nice.
put it on
Yep.
her like, okay, we're going somewhere. We got to put on your cane. We got to put on your cane. Now she don't wear it much at home, but she knows her way around our house so well that even coming from the kitchen to the living room, she doesn't bump into the couch. She knows the couch is here, the wall is here, the shelf is here, so she doesn't bump. But if she's got these clumsy days where she's like misstepping or kind of getting lost, occasionally she'll get turned around and she don't know where she's at, stuff like that. We'll go ahead and put her cane on her, and I always explain to her like, "Hey, honey, you're kind of running into things like let's help a little bit. Let's put your cane on." And she's just kind of like, okay. She's not going to throw a fit because she
That's
doesn't
cool.
want it. She understands, like, this is a day that I need this. Like, my head hurts. I'll use my cane. So there are
Aw.
days where she's clumsy or turned around or something, and we'll throw it on her. But she knows our house so well that it's just kind of something that's like, okay, like, if you want to be free today, be free today. Like, that's fine. But if
Yeah.
you start running into things, like, we're going to need to help you. And that
Yep.
also
Yeah.
drills into their brain, like, this cane is for me.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not
Mhm.
wearing this cane for me. You're not wearing this cane to please anybody in society. You're wearing this
Mhm.
cane for you. If people trip over your
Nice.
cane, we're gonna have a problem because it's happened. I don't understand. You see a 2-year-old wearing a cane and you manage to trip
I
over
don't
it.
know.
You're gonna deal with mom. So like this
Yep.
isn't
Yep.
for society. This is for you. And even if we're in a crowded place, if we're in here, we're in there. It doesn't matter because this is for you. It's not for them. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
they can see you and go around. It is not a matter of safety for them like it is for you. And it's the
Mhm.
hardest thing
Yeah.
is getting to get toddlers to understand that because you're like, why do you not get it? Well, their brain just doesn't work that way. So anytime that I
Yep.
have it on her, I drill it into her head. We're gonna put your cane on so that you don't bump into things, so that it's safer. Like I just am constantly
Nice.
drilling that into her mind. Like this
Mhm.
is for your safety because you are wild.
You're a
well,
natural
I,
little
I, I,
girl.
I think I just been dying to say this, but I think this is gonna be the new like intro to our podcast. It's a whole new world.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. The safe tunnels
Yeah.
provide a whole new world, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
for real. Like
Aw.
I can't even tell y'all like how much it's changed us. And not even just
yeah.
like our first viral video that even started her whole TikTok like career was I was in the living room, hair not brushed. I mean, I just threw on clothes that day. And we had been talking about this cane in, like the Magic Foundation has a support group for kids with her diagnosis. And that cane had been mentioned several times. I was like, yeah, like I'll just go ahead and make a video. So I made it on TikTok, and then I shared it from my TikTok to that Facebook. And I was like, I'm sitting in the floor in my living room. My hair's just up, a mess. And then boom, video goes viral. And I'm like, what the heck just
That's
happened?
not fair, right?
Yeah. And like, so my messaging wasn't open on TikTok because I didn't realize like my privacy settings were set differently and all this stuff. So people couldn't
Mhm.
message me. People were actually using my name on TikTok to find my Facebook just to message me. And they were asking me all
Wow.
kinds of questions. I was getting like even just sighted people with no connection to the blind
Mhm.
community were wanting to learn about this cane. So I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
for what, maybe a week or 2 weeks, it was just videos about this cane, and they were just going viral and going viral. And next thing I know, Grace is like, so many people have like come to our website for this cane and stuff. And I'm like, it's such a relief because if you don't know what's out there, you don't know to look for it. And this
Mhm.
is something
Mhm.
that's just like not spoken about enough
Yeah.
because
Well, I think,
it's like,
and that's why we have to do the podcast. I mean,
yeah,
that.
exactly. And
Mhm.
I've been telling people too, like, hey, I'll be on this podcast. Like, y'all need to come listen because all it
Mhm.
takes is one introduction to something for someone to just be blown away by it. And I've never met
Yeah.
anyone that has looked at that cane or heard about that cane that was just like, oh, that's cool. Like every
Yeah.
time people see it, like people will approach me in the store just to ask questions. Like total strangers come up and they're
Oh,
like,
wonderful.
"What is this?" Like I've just been watching y'all, and I'm like, "You've been watching me?" No. But like, I mean, I have people just ask me questions about it constantly. I'll like just a picture I post on Facebook. Like we rep a lot for shops, so she models like clothes and bows and shoes and stuff like that. And in a lot of our stuff, she's got her cane on. Like that's a part of her everyday life. She's gonna have it on in pictures most of the time. And people will always
Yeah.
be like, "What is that? That's so cool. What is that?" And a lot of times what's really neat is, "Oh, well my best friend's cousin's son is blind. I'm going to send them this video." Or my daughter's boyfriend's sister's uncle has a blind nephew.
Yeah.
Can I send them your TikTok? And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely." Like
Mhm.
we try to spread this as much as we can because one, like the fact that it's not like I don't have to beg my insurance to cover the cost of this. You know, Safe Titles offers like, hey, you can pay, but here's these alternative options to help people that maybe can't afford it so that you can still have this. Like, do you know how my best friend, her son has muscular dystrophy? She has to fight to get a gait trainer. She had to fight to get a wheelchair, stuff like that. Like Safe Titles makes it to where I didn't have to fight anybody to get this cane. And it changed my daughter's like
Mhm.
life. Like those
Yeah.
wheels on that wheelchair, maybe your son's legs, but like this cane is my daughter's
Mhm.
eyes. And I didn't have to
Mhm.
beg Medicaid for it. I didn't have to beg like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
therapist to get it ordered through insurance or anything. Like it's like anybody can get it that needs it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what's so
Yeah.
amazing about it is people all the time, well, we don't have insurance. How much does it cost? It doesn't. Like, and here's how you sign up. Like, I have so
Yeah.
many videos on TikTok, and I just screen recorded the website and like this is how you do it. And I just went through it step by step with like a matter of like 2 or 3 videos. And people will message me and be like, hey, how do I get one of those canes? And I'll just send them the video. I'll like briefly explain it and I'll send them the videos and be like, this is exactly how you do it. Here's the video on how to take the measurements and everything. Like, you know, there's a waiting list, but like, why would you not wait for something so freaking
Yeah.
Right.
amazing? Like, we can't expect you
Yeah.
to just like pop it out and here it is. It's, you know, it's not
We're
open.
trying.
They're
We
getting
are
there.
Yeah,
trying.
but hey, the
But
more
it
help
is
that we
new.
give
It is
y'all, the more
new.
help that you can give back to
Yeah.
us. And that's what I tell
Yep.
people all the time. Like, hey, if you donate, like the more donations and stuff they have, the more in production they can go and stuff like that. They can
Mhm.
afford to like help
Mhm.
more kids and get this stuff out. Like, hey, you live local in the area, go volunteer. Like, you want to go to the warehouse and find out how to build one? Go on, go on. I'm sure they will open arms and be like, yes, come help us. Like, I tell people
Yep.
all the time, like, if you can't help, you can spread the word,
Ah,
you can donate or do whatever.
Yep.
Because I can't,
Yep.
like,
thank you.
when I
Thank
say
you.
it changed our life, I mean, it changed our life. Like, I was so nervous of having another kid with Kennedy being blind. And it's crazy how much independence she has gained so that I could focus on having like the newborn and stuff like that. And now he's at the age now that like when she's wearing her cane, he'll like look over it and like go around her. And at first he would like try to step over it and she would just like run him over. But now he'll like go
Right.
around, or if she's in the house and she gets like turned around in the kitchen, he'll like walk her back into the living room and stuff. And like he has adapted to her life way more than I expected him to. And he's only like 17
He's
months
such
old.
a model child, though. Like, come on, he picks up.
Mhm.
I mean, you have these
Yep.
great videos of him,
Yeah,
like
he'll just start cleaning
just
toys.
picking everything up, putting it away.
That's what I'm saying. Like he has
That's
adapted to
awesome.
her life so well, and I was so scared. Like he's not gonna understand she's blind, and it's gonna be hard, and this and that. And like I really did not give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's all in
Oh,
like you got to work
Yeah.
with your kids. You know,
Yep.
you teach them how to read. You teach them like you raise them as a sighted child. Like there's no difference when one's blind and one's sighted. Like the way that you
Mhm.
raise them is the way that they're gonna grow up. And
Yep.
for the longest time, I was like, he's not gonna get it. Well, duh. Like you explain it from birth, like you put it into their mind and teach them things, they're gonna get it. But I mean, it worked out way better than
Yeah.
I expected. I was
he's
so
Yeah.
like, doesn't
scared.
everyone have a blind sister?
I know, right? He's like, you're telling me your sister's not blind?
Normal,
Yep.
But she
right?
Yep.
can see.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
I
you?
know. People all the
Well.
time are like, what are you gonna do if this one's blind? Like when I was pregnant, they're like, what are you gonna do if he's blind too?
Oh,
And I'm like, I can raise a blind kid. I'm scared that he would be able to see. I don't know how to raise a sighted toddler.
I love it.
Like, man, I can blind
Oh
dog all
man.
day, but the sighted one trips me up every now and then. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I can't eat snacks and you can see me.
Right. It's a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
it.
So
Wow.
so just to kind of recap a little bit, if you do want to support the Safe Toddler Belt Cane, you can go to the website and donate to sponsor a belt cane.
Yeah.
So that way, just like Kennedy, you can give that story to another child, and it's so important to
Yep.
continue to donate. And you just go to safetoddler.org, and then there's that link. Boom! You can describe, where you can describe that correct race, that you can describe, and then you can,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll get our newsletter.
Yeah, you get
Yes.
the newsletter. You can also then describe, be able to continue to buy belt cane for more toddlers.
Become a monthly donor.
hmm So
Hey, watch YouTube because
Wonderful.
that YouTube, you get enough followers, enough views and stuff, that pays
hmm
out to Safe Toddles. So even if you
true,
can't afford
Beautiful.
to like
and,
pay any
and their
money,
TikTok.
you can share links. You can, yeah, their TikTok, absolutely. You get to 10,000 followers, they start getting paid for views. So share the links, go like, comment, like even if you pop in and just
Yep,
comment hi, like that goes towards something. Even if you just need to
yep.
share their
Wow.
website on your Facebook, like anything like that, just kind of like spread the word, because not only are you helping Safe Toddles, but you're helping reach families that like need this and don't even know that it
hmm
exists.
Yep. Well, just a key example. You found it on Facebook
Mhm.
advertising,
Yep.
and you would have no idea.
And
And that's
from
why.
Andy has been a network of one other kids who are
My hot
benefiting
mess
because
video.
of your voice.
I know that
Yeah,
video went
yeah.
viral, and I was like, man, I couldn't have brushed my hair. And the next thing I know, Grace was like, hey, this
Well,
is now on
and she's,
Google
I
and
think
our
it's on,
website. And I'm like,
right now it's on our front page or whatever, the
no, I'm
homepage.
like, I
Yep, yep,
promise
yep.
I do look like that every
If you
day,
want to
but
remake
I'm capable of brushing my hair every now and then.
Yeah.
if you want to remake it, we'll post
But it won't go viral because
But
I look good.
we love it. Well, we love the one on the homepage because it's my co-founder Merle. He's like, "Why didn't you make a video? She's easy to understand. It's very quick." And I'm like, "I don't
You
know,
know how hard it is to
but you
fit
got
so
it
much
now."
information into 1 minute? I I
Yeah.
It's
literally made
it's
that video
really
for
good.
like 3 hours. And I propped my phone up
Wow.
against the wall because I wasn't an influencer. I didn't have the ring light and the tripod or nothing. So I didn't even have it against the wall. I had it propped up on a shoe. And I would set the cane down, I'd go to my camera and I'd start it and I'd come back and I'd talk, and I filmed it like from my camera roll, but I would have to make it
hmm
under a minute. So I'm like, I'm talking too much. So then I would start it and stop it. And then I got to where I just kept the whole video going. I was like, I'll just clip it. So phone propped up on a shoe, me just sitting there talking about this cane. And it was so funny because I was like on the website making sure that I was going to be like correct. Like I didn't want to say something that was wrong and Grace be like, you're lying to these people.
Well, she calls me out all the time, so I'm just used to it.
Yeah, but it like took me 2 hours, and then that went viral, and I just kind of reached out and was like, "Hey, so this kind of happened overnight," and she was like, "Oh my gosh," I was like, "I need more information." Like people were asking me questions that I didn't know. They're like, "What is this made of?" I couldn't tell you, and now people come to me and they're like, "What is this made of? How long is it? How do you do this?" And I'm just like, yeah, here's this, here's this, here's this. And I just made all the videos I could on it. I'm a very visual person. Like you can tell me all day, okay, if you measure from tip to toe, but do this, I'm like, huh? But you show me a video, I'm like, oh, I got that. So I made all the videos I could possibly make on it. And now when people message me about the cane on TikTok, I'm like, yeah, here's everything you need to know. And I just send them like 6 videos and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Or people are like, hey, I'm on the site, but I don't understand like how to do the measurements. I'm like, oh, absolutely. And I send them the video. And I'm like, just do it like this. Like, this is the way that I do it.
Well, send us the video. I'll put it on our measurement site. I mean, seriously. Well, and the reason why Safe Titles is on the TikTok is there's a correspondence to when Andy put on her viral video, and then she's like, "Well, I'll send you a video, but couldn't you just do?"
Yeah, TikTok? I told her I was like, "You need to make a TikTok. You can just duet us, and it'll put it on your profile." She's like, "How do I do that?" And I was like, "Girl, FaceTime me." That's where it all
That's right. That's right. And we can't keep putting them out there until we get our manufacturing workshop set up, because it does bring in so many requests that we've had to really tone down all of our advertising, because we don't want people to wait too long. I mean, I want to get that out there, but we're juggling
every
with
time someone
COVID,
asks me
everything.
About them, I'm constantly telling them there's a wait, because this is strictly volunteer based. Like if they don't have the donations, like they're doing this just out of the kindness of their heart. Like they're not paying employees to make these. Like they are, they started this and wanted to help people. So when you have so much people that are now learning about this cane and they're all coming at one time, there's going to be a wait, but it's worth it. So usually I'll reach out to Grace every now and then, be like, hey, like, is there an update on the wait time? Because I don't want to tell people 2 months and it's like 3 or 4 or anything like that. So I'm constantly, every now and then I'm like, hey, what's the wait time on the cane? She'll tell me, and then I can update people as they ask. But I always preface with like, yeah, go on the website, go ahead and apply. But there is a wait time. Like this is how long you have to wait. But it's because it's just them doing this. This is all volunteer based. And I just wished I lived closer. I would be in there all day, every day. Like I'll do my shop orders over in this corner, and then I'll do y'all stuff over here.
Well, I'm trying to get her to move her manufacturing to my manufacturing plant. So, but they haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll have a West Coast and an East Coast manufacturing
there
plant.
You go.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, because I have most of the stuff that she needs, but we're working out those details.
Nice. That's exciting.
So
honestly,
you guys,
people will get on and buy clothes for their kids, and like handmade shops, the wait time can be up to 2 months. You're telling me that you're gonna wait for that cute little dress for 2 months with no hiccups, but you don't want to wait 2 months for a cane? It's so worth it. Well, no, we gotta wait 17 years for a guide dog.
That's right.
So I mean,
Well, and the other thing is like you got to get a point. Like if you order any Deafline potted pieces, like you're waiting close to 3 to 6 months, depending on how fast these 2 hands can make pottery.
Exactly.
So
just as fast as those 2 hands can make a cane, like it's worth the wait for sure.
Thank you. This has been a wonderful, wonderful, fruitful interview. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but you knocked it out of the park. And I just can't thank you enough for everything that you've been able to bring to this today. And I know it's going to help others, as you already do. And thank you. I mean,
that's what we're here for. I want to advocate for these kids as much as I can. And someday Kenedi will see all that, advocate for herself, and be able to advocate for everyone else, because these kids don't always know what they need, but Somebody does.
For sure. So thank you, Andrea. And that wraps us up for the Safe Toddles podcast. So if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at info@safetoddles.org. And really, if you want to support us, go to safetoddles.org and go to that donation button and donate today. So that way, again, you can give the freedom and make it a brand new world for a safe toddler and be able to travel fully independently and safely. And if you want to find us on social media, you can get us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So go ahead and find us there at Safe Toddles. You guys have a good one and go live beyond your challenges, and we'll catch you guys later.
Have a safe mobility Monday, everyone. Bye. The content of this episode was brought to you by Safe Toddles. Safe Toddles, our mission is to provide toddlers and preschool learners who are blind with a solution for walking safely. A pediatric belt game for a clear path detection.